Well, the time has come to say goodbye. I came with a responsibility to keep this daily half hour a safe place for family fun. No social issues, no politics, nothing embarrassing.
Fans are in disbelief as Pat Sajak finally spoke out after 40 years of grins, spin cycles, and trademark sarcasm. And he revealed something shocking. The 78-year-old man responsible for making Wheel of Fortune a nightly tradition in the United States has revealed some shocking information that changes the narrative we were led to believe. Was it retirement all over again? A surprising turn of events lies underneath the polished exterior and dazzling lights. From tensions behind the scenes to a single farewell curtain call, Sajak's latest departure has caused more ruckus than a game show buzzer. Then what? The whispers have turned into solid facts. Brace yourselves, for what Pat has just confessed alters the course of events. However, in order to have a better understanding, let us initially examine his voyage. Even before he became famous, Pat Sajak was a regular Chicago kid. A humble beginning, characterized by a working-class background and the gift for expression that would come to define him, defined his early existence. He worked as a front desk receptionist at the Palmer House Hilton to pay for Columbia College Chicago after finishing Farragut High School. He stumbled into a career in broadcasting by chance when he entered and won a contest to be a guest adolescent DJ on the hit Dick Biondi Show. His initial experience with radio sparked a lifelong passion for the medium, and he eventually landed his first job as an overnight shift worker at a local station, WEDC. Even after being conscripted into the United States Army, Pat's love for radio remained unwavering. Army during the Vietnam War. During his time in Vietnam, he had a rare opportunity to pursue his passion for radio while serving his country as a disc jockey for the American Forces Vietnam Network. During a period of intense tension in Saigon, he offered entertainment and music portions to provide solace to his fellow troops over the airwaves. Sajak has often reflected on this time with fondness, recalling how it honed his abilities as a broadcaster and gave him a better grasp of how media can bring people together. After coming back to the United States, Sajak kept climbing the ladder of broadcasting, this time from radio to television. He began his career as a weatherman for Nashville's WSM-TV, where he became famous for his offbeat pranks, such as gently crawling behind the news desk, and witty, dry sense of humor. His profile shot up after this because of an opportunity with KNBC in Los Angeles. Despite initial resistance from network officials wary of Sajak's national appeal, Merv Griffin, the founder of Wheel of Fortune, saw his charisma and promise here. Griffin persevered and succeeded despite doubters. More than 40 years have passed since Pat Sajak made her debut as Wheel of Fortune host on December 28, 1981. His easygoing personality, quick wit, and rapport with the competitors propelled the show to stardom and made it one of the most watched game shows of all time on television. The life of Sajak is a timeless American success story, built on skill, timing, and unwavering commitment to his profession. It begins with making albums in Saigon and ends with spinning the wheel on national television. Although Sajak's meteoric climb to fame was impressive on his own, it was his subsequent on-screen collaboration that would solidify his position as a television legend. One of the most famous game show pairings in history began when Vanna White joined Wheel of Fortune in 1982, a year after Pat Sajak became host. Their synergy was immediate and unbreakable. Vanna's vivacious charisma and Sajak's cool attitude were a great match. A key attraction of the program was how, despite their polar opposite personalities, their dynamic felt perfectly matched. In the eyes of millions of Americans, they began to represent more than just colleagues. They were a visual symbol of comfort and familiarity. There have been many whispers regarding the nature of their connection, despite the fact that they have been working together for quite some time. Although there have been some awkward times on TV, such as Pat unexpectedly kissing Vanna during a live recording, the couple has always maintained that their relationship has been completely platonic. Both Pat and Vanna have stated that their relationship is based on decades of shared experience and mutual respect, and Pat has openly referred to Pat as a brother figure. Their capacity to stay close without being romantically involved has only added to their charisma, providing an unusual example of lasting professional friendship in the entertainment business. In addition to providing light-hearted banter, their chemistry has helped turn Wheel of Fortune into a show that the whole family can enjoy. Pat and Vanna's constant presence offered a refreshing change of pace in an era when television shows increasingly prioritized shock value or controversy. They had light-hearted banter that was never risque, and their personalities were strong but dynamic. The show's consistent quality allowed it to become a go-to for early evening watching for many families, satisfying viewers of all ages. Over the years, their chemistry grew to represent the show. Watching Vanna cheerfully display letters and Pat jokingly following competitors became as iconic of Wheel of Fortune as the game itself. Their partnership, which was marked by continuity, charisma, and real connection, is now poised to become one of the most enduring and beloved in television history, even as Sajak prepares to depart from the spotlight entirely. Despite Pat Sajak's long-standing reputation for charm and humor, his latter years on Wheel of Fortune exposed flaws that went against his well-crafted public persona. There were a number of strange occurrences that occurred while the show was on, which caused people to wonder and argue. Most notably, Sajak's humorous but awkward chokehold on one competitor, his unannounced tug on another's beard, and his severe scolding of a player for prematurely seizing a prize envelope. Even though they were meant to be jokes, a lot of people considered them offensive and unsuitable for a show that was supposed to be family-friendly. Worries voiced by viewers increased in proportion to the frequency of such bizarre occurrences. Twitter and other internet channels were used by longtime followers to voice their unhappiness with what they viewed as a growing annoyance or intolerance. What was formerly praised as Sajak's perceptive humor was now occasionally perceived as condescension or sarcasm. Some fans stood by him, saying that anybody would get tired from years of shooting non-stop, while others thought his behavior didn't match the welcoming vibe that had been Wheel of Fortune for so long. Producers, apparently, started to feel uneasy about Sajak's new attitude behind the scenes. There were reportedly internal debates on whether he was becoming a liability to the show's brand, according to industry sources. Executives reportedly warned Sajak about some on-air actions that would turn off viewers or get too much media attention. Yet no disciplinary action was announced. These matters outside of the spotlight contributed to speculation that his departure was not as voluntary as initially thought, with exhaustion and dissatisfaction playing a larger role than initially thought. His memory is further clouded by the contrast of these scandals with Sajak's early charisma. His on-air gaffes have cast a shadow over his decades-long reputation as a steady, calming presence, the perfect counterpoint to the excitement of the game. Viewers now have a more complex and, at times, divisive view of the longtime presenter. When he's not working, Pat Sajak enjoys a life of conventional values, seclusion, and stability. Since his 1989 marriage to photographer Leslie Brown, Sajak has frequently gushed over his family and stressed the significance of avoiding the limelight while discussing his private life. Maggie Marie Sajak, who has taken on a more prominent role with her infrequent appearances as a social media correspondent and letter-turner on Wheel of Fortune, and Patrick Michael James Sajak, who became a certified doctor in 2021, are the children of the couple. In keeping with Pat's modest attitude to fame, the Sajak family divides their time between Maryland and California, savoring both the public and private spheres. Sajak has been outspoken about his political beliefs, which align with conservative principles in addition to his family values. He has contributed to right-wing websites like Ricochet.com and written opinion pieces for conservative publications like Human Events. Although Sajak has often been unabashed in his convictions, some fans have condemned his public statements, such as explosive tweets and concerns about climate change. Sajak stands out among Hollywood's notable figures for publicly aligning with conservative ideology, in contrast to the majority of celebrities who shun political discourse. Even in the classroom, his political activity shows. Hillsdale College is a private liberal arts institution that rejects federal financing and has conservative leanings. Pat has been as chairman of the Board of Trustees since 2019. He has been an ardent supporter of the organization for over 15 years, having served as vice chairman for that duration. In this capacity, Sajak has been able to further establish himself as an intellectual and ideological rebel in the entertainment sector, while also advocating for classical education and constitutional ideals. Sajak's interest in communication and cultural commentary is evident in her other media projects outside of Wheel of Fortune. Before selling his AM radio station in Maryland in 2021, he was a Republican talk show personality in the 1990s. Although his work on game shows receives more attention, his other interests and willingness to argue topics that interest him are on full display in these pursuits. His political expression, educational advocacy, and home life all come together to provide a picture of a guy whose views are deeply held even when they go against Hollywood norms. Fans were astonished and disappointed when Pat Sajak's long-running career on Wheel of Fortune was abruptly ended in November 2019 due to a potentially fatal health issue. He had to undergo emergency surgery due to a plugged intestine, a life-threatening situation that may have been prevented with proper treatment. In retrospect, Sajak remembers the horrific stomachache that quickly worsened before medical professionals stepped in, and he characterized the whole thing as bizarre and severe. He hadn't been away from the Wheel stage in decades, yet he was momentarily unable to host the program during the operation and initial rehabilitation. As a result of the crisis, Sajak had an unprecedented level of public exposure. After his recovery, he spoke of how, while under anesthesia, he thought about nothing but his family and how he may die. After admitting that his near-death experience had changed his outlook on life, he thanked his wife Leslie and his children for their unwavering support. An unexpected but illuminating look inside the mind of someone usually recognized for his calm, on-air attitude. The incident also caused him to contemplate the transience of time, health, and legacy. Vanna White, who had worked with Pat for many years as a co-host, stepped in as host while he was abroad, a role she had never previously held. Despite initial astonishment, the show managed to stay on track because to Vanna's composure and reverence for the format. The production crew's resiliency and the depth of their professional bond were movingly shown. Later on, Sajak lauded Vanna's efforts, saying how impressive it was that she was able to adapt so fast under duress. Both Sajak's professional and personal outlooks were altered by the encounter. His usual humor and charisma returned while he hosted Wheel of Fortune, but those close to him saw a subtle change in his demeanor, a greater gratitude for his experiences on and off stage. His near-death experience added a subtle seriousness to his public persona, showing that not even the strongest TV stars are immune to life's curveballs. It seems like Pat Sajak's statement in June 2023 that season 41 would be his last as Wheel of Fortune's face was a kind and voluntary departure after more than 4 decades. In his farewell statement, he thanked the millions of people who had welcomed him into their homes each night and recalled his time on the show as an incredible journey. It appeared to be the kind of respectful farewell a television legend would have wanted. It now appears that Sajak's departure was not as voluntary as first thought, according to recent sources. Closer Weekly and Monsters and Critics report sources who say that Sajak was clearly resentful of the behind-the-scenes handling of his departure. According to these insiders, Pat was forced into retirement so that Ryan Seacrest, who is much younger, could take over. Some have speculated that Sajak may not have had complete control over the decision-making process due to the suddenness of the announcement and the ease with which Seacrest took over as host. Although there have been no official confirmations of these claims, many familiar with the production feel that the decision was more about updating the brand than paying tribute to Pat's history. In an effort to entice a younger demographic, the show's producers probably sought to modernize Wheel of Fortune. It made sense to bring on Ryan Seacrest, a well-established presenter with widespread appeal, after 4 decades of consistent format and tone, as a long-term viability move. The network may have decided it was time for a change, despite Sajak's popularity, and benched a beloved host before he was ready. Although Pat has refrained from openly criticizing the program or Seacrest since retiring, sources say he is hesitant to provide guidance. Consequently, rumors persist. People are watching Seacrest's performance in the high-stakes position with some bitter satisfaction in his coldness. What appeared like a polished departure before all this backstage intrigue has added depth for many longtime admirers. One of the longest-running game programs in America began a daring new chapter in September 2024, when Ryan Seacrest officially became host. There were great hopes for Seacrest when he took over as host because of his resume, which includes American Idol and Live with Kelly and Ryan. A renovated Art Deco-inspired set, a computerized puzzle board driven by lasers, updated prize packages, and sleek lit entrances are just a few of the ways the show's producers embrace technology. However, there has been some debate around the move. Many viewers missed Pat Sajak's reassuring presence, while commentators praised Seacrest for his professionalism and polish. There was a lot of love for Seacrest's enthusiasm on social media and fan forums, but there were also a lot of passionate complaints that no one does it like Pat. Sajak's return to host Celebrity Wheel of Fortune brought back a lot of memories, and fans were smitten by his timing and humor. Let me tell you something, Pat is more incisive as ever. One supporter expressed the widespread opinion that he should never have retired. This gap is reflected in ratings. Viewership for future episodes of Seacrest has dropped below average, despite a one-time boost for the launch. This fall has sparked worries that it would be more difficult than expected to replace a television institution like Pat Sajak. His recognized credentials and ability to connect with viewers of all ages made Seacrest an attractive long-term investment for producers. Rebranding the show while keeping loyal viewers engaged is obviously an ongoing challenge. Some have referred to Pat Sajak's surprising return to television a few months after leaving Wheel of Fortune as a full-circle moment, and fans couldn't be more right. Few anticipated his return to the driver's seat when he stepped down in June 2024 at the end of season 41. But ABC announced in March 2025 that Pat will be back as host for the April 30th, 2025 season premiere of Celebrity Wheel of Fortune. Touted as his final spin, the news caused quite a stir in the media, reviving interest in the brand. However, many were perplexed as to why Pat, who is now 78 years old, would want to return to the spotlight following such a solemn farewell. There had been months of waiting for the announcement because of changes in network programming, but it just served to heighten fans' excitement for his return. Viewers flooded the show's social media with emotions like relief, nostalgia, and enthusiasm, and the reaction was swift and overwhelming. At long last, the anticipation has been building for quite some time, shown how much they had missed him by taking over the show's Instagram announcement. His comeback has left some fans wondering whether his departure was ever really final, if it was all a plot twist. or if he still feels sorrow about quitting. Pat didn't seem to have slowed down at all when the premiere came on. The format, which was smoother and more lively than Seacrest's, stood in stark contrast to his signature wit and easy attitude. Celebrity competitors Joe Manganiello, Tiffany Haddish, and Matt Walsh were guided by Sajak, along with Vanna White, through an hour of classic puzzle antics, awkward small talk, and gaffes. His reappearance gave the episode a nostalgic, familiar rhythm that fans of the show would recognize immediately, giving it a sense of reunion rather than innovation. People who watched the show online said the episode was great because it brought back the true feel of Wheel of Fortune, which had been around for over 40 years and was known for its light-hearted tone. The positive response has only served to heighten curiosity about future guest stars and their potential impact on the show's tone and character. In addition to the joy and nostalgia, Sajak's unexpected comeback brought up more serious concerns over his future engagement with the series. Ryan Seacrest now hosts the show regularly, while Pat is still active as a creative consultant and behind the scenes. Even if it's just for a little while, his return to the screen suggests he may not be quite prepared to let go. Media and viewers alike are understandably curious as to whether or if this is the first of many guest appearances, and if so, what impact this may have on the show's future. Unexpectedly, Pat Sajak re-entered the spotlight, not on television but on stage, after resigning from Wheel of Fortune in June 2024. The 78-year-old game show icon will star in a summer 2025 theatrical production of Prescription at Honolulu's Hawaii Theater Center, according to an announcement made in April of that year. William Link and Richard Levinson's piece served as the basis for the groundbreaking crime drama Columbo. Sajak will be playing a very different character from his usual charming TV persona, Dr. Roy Fleming, a cold-blooded psychiatrist who plots the ideal crime. If you're a fan of the long-standing host and are looking for a unique experience, you won't want to miss the production, which takes place from July 31st to August 10th, 2025. Nothing less than a genuine effort went into this new venture. Joe Moore, a well-respected Hawaii television newscaster and lifelong friend of Sajak's, and a fellow Vietnam War veteran, will be sharing the stage with Sajak. Their long-lasting artistic relationship stems from the fact that they were friends while serving in the Army. Gregory D. Dunn, president of the Hawaii Theater Center, has stated that this will be their 6th joint performance in Honolulu. Their natural chemistry and strong community ties have helped their past works gain considerable local support. Sajak and Moore's reunion adds a touching human dimension to the production, elevating it from a mere theatrical event to a sincere partnership founded on friendship that spans decades. In addition to adding to the thrill of the performance, Sajak's presence highlights his dedication to promoting the arts. He isn't involved because of financial gain. Unlike many celebrities, all of the revenues will be donated to the charity Hawaii Theater Center, and Dunn claims that Sajak is generously donating his time and talent for the play. The historic theater's programming and preservation initiatives will be supported by his participation, which is likely to attract additional attention and ticket sales. In addition to highlighting a distinct side of Sajak's character, this charitable deed highlights his commitment to giving back, particularly to organizations that enhance cultural life outside of the peninsula. Sajak sees Prescription as an honorable continuation of his public life and a means of creative expression. Although his name is most commonly associated with a legendary game show, this performance serves as a reminder to fans that his talents go much beyond just playing the wheel. Despite his decades-long reputation from game shows, Sajak has always had a hint of performing interest in his past, which includes modest appearances in programs like The King of Queens and Days of Our Lives. Now that he's in a more intimate space and has full creative freedom, he's rediscovering that creative territory in a familiar setting, on his own terms, and for a purpose bigger than just entertainment. One underappreciated reason for Sajak's enduring popularity, his willingness to take creative risks in his latter years, is reflected in his transition to the stage. In contrast to many of his peers, Sajak is currently pushing himself to his limits with a demanding dramatic part that calls for timing, nuance, and a whole transformation of his public demeanor. This daring step exemplifies his adaptability as an artist and his refusal to settle for mediocrity. Playing the multifaceted Dr. Roy Fleming, Sajak dares viewers to see him in a different way, one that expands on his legacy instead of just elongating it. The creation of Prescription also showcases Sajak's profound fondness for narrative and his respect for the history of television. He joins a long tradition of smart, character-driven drama by adapting works that were once written by Columbo. There was deliberate thought put into this decision. It shows a move away from show and toward substance. Pat Sajak became one of the most iconic figures in American television history as the show's steady hand host for more than 4 decades. A basic puzzle-solving program became a nightly ritual for millions when he first stepped onto the set of the legendary game show in 1981. Because to his natural charisma, subtle humor, and ability to put viewers at ease, every episode became more than just a game. It became a regular part of their lives. His efforts were acknowledged. A star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and 3 Daytime Emmys for Outstanding Game Show Host cemented Sajak's position in entertainment history. Wheel of Fortune went from being a popular game show to a cultural phenomenon during his tenure as showrunner. Its thrilling riddles, energetic participants, and distinctive spinning wheel became ingrained in American popular culture, often mocked but never replicated. The show's vibrancy and consistency were preserved by Pat, who was able to adapt to different generations, which allowed Wheel to thrive through the ages of cable TV, streaming, and shifting watching patterns. The program became a family favorite across generations and regions because to Sajak and Vanna White's creation of an environment that was both thrilling and healthy. In a field where change is relentless, Sajak's legacy is the remarkable steadiness he delivered. He graced American living rooms every night for almost 40 years, guiding competitors and spectators with his charming personality, empathy, and humor. He let his genuine friendliness and professionalism drive the show, rather than relying on drama or bad conduct, as other TV personalities do. The public trusted him for decades because of his blend of humor and humility, which allowed him to feel more like a friend than a star, thanks to his warm friendliness and snap one-liners. As he steps away from the spotlight, Pat Sajak leaves behind a legacy that extends far beyond his impressive resume. He brings to mind a bygone age of television when hosts were known for their honesty, grace, and reliability. His retirement signifies the end of an era in American cultural history, as well as the end of an extraordinary hosting run. Even in a dynamic environment, Sajak's subtle genius shows that sincerity, consistency, and convention are timeless. For millions of viewers, he represented the best of television in the evenings. He wasn't just a game show presenter. The impact of Sajak's work was not limited to the Wheel of Fortune series. Behind the camera, he became a respected figure in the media industry, known for his astute commentary and well-considered views on television. His charisma and the authority of his voice let him connect with audiences beyond his role as presenter. Even though he was very discreet about his private life, the same level-headedness and charm that made him popular were on display in his rare articles and public appearances. His ability to remain relevant and esteemed without succumbing to passing fads is a testament to his lasting impact. There are others who felt the same way after that revelation. Regarding Pat's unexpected action, What are your thoughts? We read all of the comments, so feel free to share yours. If you liked this video, please like it, subscribe to obtain more exclusive content, and click the bell icon to stay updated. Meanwhile, the next shocking tale is waiting for you. Click on it right now!